Alrighty, guys, take it away.
No worries. Thanks for that, Al. Greatly appreciated, and thanks for Job Australia for giving us the opportunity to be able to speak with you guys. We've had kind of a gangbuster last 4 weeks since we spoke at the National Youth Employment Forum, where we've been able to kind of engage with a lot of the Job Australia delegates, and also a number of other kind of parties who hadn't heard of Year 13, and we were able to really introduce what we've been able to do as a young team and a young brand, and what we've been able to achieve over the last 3 years. So I would really like to thank Jobs Australia and David Thompson for their support and allowing us the opportunity to be able to speak with all of you guys today. So I'll give you a bit of an overview. We launched Year 13 3 years ago under the idea that we'd be an information hub for young people. At the time, I was 21 and Will was 19, and our other partner, Jordan, was 19, and we were just going through our own the trials and tribulations of finishing school and what our ideas were when we were finishing school compared to what the real world really had for us. And so we built the brand Year 13, and basically as soon as we launched, with people who were going through the same issues that we were with employment, with the social pressures of finishing school and education, and then other people who were struggling with the mental side of finishing school and not having that support. And so it was really our users who built Year 13 into what it is today. And that first 12 months we wanted to build a brand which resonated with young people. We didn't want to be seen as mutton dressed as lambs, how we like to kind of put it, but we really wanted to be a young brand that understood what young people were going through and build that trust. So when we did, eventually get down the line of being offered services, we were that natural kind of progression for all young people to be able to go somewhere which understood what they were going through. So I think you can all see our screen. We just have a short video which kind of encapsulates and explains Year 13 in a short little 1:17 presentation. So I'll just give you guys a bit of an understanding from here.
What would you like to do with money when no object? How would you really enjoy spending your life? Well, it's so amazing. As a result of our kind of educational system, crowds of students say, well, we'd like to be painters, we'd like to be poets, we'd like to be writers, but as everybody knows, we can't earn any money that way. Or another person says, well, I'd like to live an out-of-doors life and ride horses. I said, you want to teach in a riding school? Let's go through with it. What do you want to do? When we finally got down to something which the individual says he really wants to do, I will say to him, you do that. And forget the money. Because if you say that getting the money is the most important thing, you will spend your life completely wasting your time. You'll be doing things you don't like doing in order to go on living, that is, to go on doing things you don't like doing, which is stupid. Better to have a short life that is full of what you like doing than a long life spent in a miserable way.
So if we have to put a persona to Year 13 and what we've built it, we are that older brother, older sister, that mentor that's finished school, they've gone through different jobs, they've done a bit of travel, studied, and now they're relaying that advice and information back onto their siblings and their younger brothers. So it is very much so that peer-to-peer support and voice which we've created. And as we say in our vision statement, we're bridging the gap between high school and the real world. So what we do at Year 13, we focus on there's four major components to what we do. We have our education, so that's with education and training, working with high schools, universities, TAFEs, colleges, RTOs, tourism. So another arm of Year 13 is our gap and travel opportunities and working holidays, and even domestically and internationally. Our employment, it's probably our fundamental strength at the moment, our employment arm, and what we offer in terms of entry level, casual, part-time, full-time apprenticeships and traineeships. And then again, our content and our support. So the voice which we built with Year 13 has enabled us to be able to now, after 3 years, be able to turn ourselves into a much more of a server, which is where we currently sit at the moment. Our partners, so we currently have a number of different partners and sponsors and MOUs in place. By view of Year 13, they range from the Australian Council of Private Education and Training, Group Training Australia, which is the national body for apprenticeships and apprenticeship centres. Who else have we got?
CSA, as well as sort of our new affiliation partnership with Jobs Australia.
Yeah, Jobs Australia, and now we're moving more into different government bodies. So we've got a partnership in place with the Defence Force, and now going through the process with various government bodies. So effectively communicating with young people. This has been our strongest arm to Year 13. We saw a big social issue with information being relayed onto young people. Obviously at the time we were 21 through to 25. Yeah, it's weird to say. That the information wasn't ever presented to young people in a way which wasn't it wasn't modern. It wasn't new age. So what we've been able to do is create content relevant to each young person, and that being video content like the one we just showed you guys, through our social platforms. Again, the voice we created with Year 13, and making that content relevant. So whether it being employment, whether it being education, training, it's about being able to portray a message and build that trust with individuals.
I think what the biggest thing that we saw was that there's some really big messages coming from the likes of government, schools and parents, and I think we can say firsthand, I didn't listen to my career advisor, and it was really tough listening to your parents. And so what we have sort of done is take those big messages and make them a little bit smaller and a little bit easier to understand. And what we do is we take it very seriously. We think it is a very important thing that we're trying to achieve, and it's just about breaking it down and making it a little bit easier for a 15, 16, 17, all the way up to 25-year-old to actually understand.
So the problems with engagement, again, or what we've seen is breaking that communication. So making the content relevant and speaking in a voice which young people trust. There has been various government initiatives to try and do, essentially what Year 13 is, but government and other brands have been perceived as what we've been able to do is understand and make relative content to be able to speak a language which young people engage with. So unlike many other ones, we are able to use colloquial terms, we're able to swear, we're able to use abbreviated language, which how all young people really engage now, and then combine that with the technological gap and understanding that young people are now spending up to 2 hours a day using their handheld devices. So we focus and know exactly that, and we use our strategy of new age engagement by communicating both on-site, off-site, and then using all social platforms to continually communicate with young people outside of it just being a message from school or an email from here or a letter at home or someone telling you to do something. It's about continuing that conversation and making it relative from a brand which is speaking with them, not at them. So again, as I just touched on, the style of language which we've been able to develop and use in understanding young people, combining that with relative content and the social issues and what is missed when coming from school. We've been able to put out articles and create campaigns around are trades more valuable than a degree, and really depict and highlight that trades after 4 years and where young people are at are a lot more effective than trying to rush into university or rush into education. I mean, not education, but rushing into courses. So yeah, we're able to really kind of, what's the best way to explain it?
Sort of stir up a conversation that maybe isn't necessarily had. I think that's what we try and do with our communication, is try and get young people to engage in conversations that often aren't had, whether that's within their own friendship circle or whether that is with their parents. It's just a conversation that we think is sometimes missed, and it's something that we've sort of fallen into by literally just talking about it, and the engagement that we've had through our own social channels and people coming and actually asking for us for help has been really blown us away as to really how the engagement has happened.
A lot of young people will come to us with an idea of what they're wanting to do, or we break down and we use that simple quote from the video we just played, what would you do if money was no object? And people will come back saying, oh, I used to love blacksmiths, I'd love to make swords for a living or do something like that. And what we're able to then do is take that idea from the young person and make it relevant and be like, well, that is a good idea. Like, have you ever looked at doing tool making? Tool making is a trade, and then introduce jobs and careers which aren't necessarily promoted to young people, and then making it relevant to them. So once we're able to kind of understand what they're wanting to, my friends think that's a shitty idea, or that's not a good career compared to their other friends, we're actually able to say, well, it is, and here it is, and we're not forcing them to change their opinion of it. We're able to really show those options in terms of career opportunities and employment beyond just what's happening with schools and how it's kind of portrayed at the moment. So yeah, again, our solutions and how we do this, our content creators are young. We know what's trending. We've got an incredibly young team here. I'm the oldest here now at 25, and we've got content writers from the youngest here is 17 through to me at 25. So we've got different people from all different aspects of life and who have gone through their own trials and tribulations, and we relay that, and we can communicate and connect quite effectively through our brand that we've built. Yeah, content, I've done all that. Communication avenues. So as I touched on before, we're not just focused on the Year 13 website. We use all social media channels. So this is what we call the new age of engagement with Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, Reddit, our video content that we produce. And also now, more so, we're starting to have a lot of schools and career advisors and parents actually reference and use the term Year 13 as for their students or their children to go to. So it's not so much Year 13 just as a business or a brand, it's more so the idea of Year 13 and being able to facilitate positive choices and have those opportunities there for young people. Pardon me. Again, this is kind of how we explain it and how we do things. We touched on before, we have a partnership in place with the Defence Force, and one of their biggest objectives when they came to Year 13 was to remove the stigma that the Defence Force is, you're put on the front line. And so we've been able to depict and kind of highlight the opportunities in terms of what they offer with their trades, their Defence Force trades, the university sponsorship, the general admission, the Defence Force gap years, and really show that there are opportunities specifically for young people outside of what they traditionally know as the Defence Force. And from that, I'd have to get the stats directly for you, but from 5 months at the start of the year, we've generated over 250 applications into the Defence Force and the Defence Force roles. So when we are able to work with industry bodies and have opportunities there for young people, we are an effective communication channel, and we are that next level of engagement, which is, the way we put it, is putting when the businesses are the parents and where we are the influencer, we are able to have young people engage with us a lot easier and a lot quicker, and we're able to put them into a program or motivate them into making an action for themselves. Again, as we touched on our Snapchat, so with us continuously communicating with young people beyond just the website and social media platforms. We have a huge following now on Snapchat. I'm not sure if many of you are familiar with how Snapchat works, but basically you can take a 15-second live video and send it out to your users. So we will, when we go out on different sites or we have different opportunities come up, we promote that through our Snapchat channels, and as you'll see, as you may or may not be able to see, we then engage with people who are then inquiring in real time about job opportunities, about career aspects, about subject choices when finishing school. I mean, when heading into Year 11 or Year 12. So it's an amazing tool for us. It's incredibly powerful, and it allows us to continue just being on a website or being in school. Building trust, again, this is probably one of our, it was fundamental to the success of Year 13 in our early days, was to be a brand which we weren't ever trying to sell someone a course or get them signing up for a vet feed course. We were always just about providing information and being able to service and understand what our users go through. That period of finishing school and entering the real world is, everyone really remembers it and how daunting it can be. And so by us building that trust with young people, we've been able to, again, get ourselves to the point where we're at now. Influence of technology. Yeah, technology is something that has sort of sprung on us. It wasn't, none of us actually come from a technical background. It's just something that has developed. So as our team's grown, we've started implementing. We've got senior developers, we've also got designers, and with that we've been able to build some really interesting technologies that allow us to understand our users a lot better. So with the content that we've been putting out, we're able to track the user's behaviour, and this is sort of where a lot of this has sprung up. We can see how engaged the user is with the content that we're putting out, and then with our separate applications, we actually see what the user is actually doing within our systems. And this is really important because we saw the influence that technology has had on the gap in the generation. So the way that our users are actually connecting with employers, that we notice there's a huge gap, and that we're seeing that there's some big rifts there. And whilst that is a big issue for a lot of employers, we actually see it as a huge opportunity because through this technology, because they are so familiar with being on their phones and behind a computer, we can actually extract more information rather than less. And this is really how we've sort of built this new system, that what we're proposing now is built with this sort of information at hand. And so this is where we're at now, is Year 13 Connect. And this is what we're proposing could be a really, really effective communications employment services, in which is basically we're just sitting back as a sort of older brother, older sister, where we can help facilitate your normal services. So it's trying to get the information from the candidate to really understand what they want to do, and if there are barriers, what they are, and how that they can be relayed back to the case manager to try and put in an action earlier to try and ensure that there's a goal at the end of the day. Yeah, this has been something which an idea we've had, and we've been speaking with different implementing this. However, with the transition into work and kind of the interest that's been generated through Year 13, this is something which we have brought forward by about 12 months now. So it's an exciting kind of area for us, and it's something which we do see that done correctly through Year 13, we would be able to effectively kind of implement.
So yeah, Year 13 Connect, it's really built on trying to bridge that communication gap between the case manager that's actually looking after the candidate and what the candidate is actually thinking and feeling. So we know that all the employment agencies are doing fantastic work in engaging and trying to find these opportunities, but we saw a great opportunity for us to be able to complement those services. So all the job seekers that are sort of out there, we found that there are some small barriers that, when broken down, really opens up a huge amount of opportunities. And this is what we're seeing with the small sample that we've done this testing with, is that just with a little bit of the right engagement has allowed a huge amount of growth. And this was what excited us so much, is once they built that trust with us and that we were able to engage it on a peer-to-peer level and actually really sort of understand where they want to go and what they want to do, the results were amazing. Everyone that we've dealt with has now gone into further education or been able to get them a job when we've worked on them in this sort of mentor coaching level. And that's where we're really excited to try and get this on a more broader scale, because we've seen the effects and how well it works.
The idea of Year 13 Connect it's come very organically to us. It's been something which we've done just through the walk-ins or through people who have gone to that extra length to be able to kind of communicate with us and have sought a advice and help. So we have a few case studies at the end of the presentation which we'll walk you through, but it is about, you know, that peer-to-peer mentorship and understanding what they're going through, and then being able to relay that on and be able to make an action. So it's creating that perfect storm with the information and the aspirations which we don't necessarily get out of the job seeker from the get-go.
So this is an example of our jobs board. So the Year13 Connect will be using the same technology and will be built on a very similar platform. Just to give you an example of how we actually operate, on the left is where we've actually engaged the user in getting a lot of key bits of information. It's actually interactive on the site, but you can see it's really colourful and it's very easy to engage. And then on the right is an example how we've taken a lot of information and displayed it in a more sort of manageable manner, and that's where we sort of pride ourselves in utilising technology to our advantage to actually get the key messages across. So in terms of the Year13 Connect, this is a quick workflow of how it would actually work. So it would be a seamless integration to what your current services are. So it would be a members login where the user would actually log in and build a profile into our system, and then we'd go through a 6 to 8 week program in which we each week gather key bits of information. So the first would obviously be what you actually want to do, and then each week we'd go through key structures to try and extract the right information to give back to your case manager, but also keep the candidate engaged and actually wanting to progress. That was the key thing. So whilst we're gathering information for the case manager, it's actually keeping the job seeker really engaged to a manner where they actually want to work and they actually want to get to the next level, because we're giving them the right bits of content, the right bits of information to actually keep them engaged and actually wanting to succeed.
Being able to take, as we touched on and everything leading up to this point, the technology side of things, so to be able to engage through our systems across social channels, across the mobiles, to be able to SMS just to check up and see if things are going well, how things are going. If we haven't seen any interaction from throughout the Year13 Connect, what's going on, and we can just communicate at that peer-to-peer level, not just being like, where are you, what are you doing? It's just that checkup, it's that older brothers, making sure things are okay, and being able to, again, effectively communicate as that, not that third party, but that brand which young people resonate with, and it's incredibly seamless and easy for us. Our solution, what you?
So yeah, this is just going like how we actually build the platform. So it's taking all the facets that we've built over the past 3 years and what we've tried to do and sort of bringing it together. It's utilising the attributes from all the different industries that we work with, but also the different platforms that we use and sort of the network that we've developed to bring in a system like this. So for us, it's almost like a natural progression, but it's cool to see all the different pieces of the puzzle sort of fit together for a project like this. So yeah, the key benefits really is how easily integrated something like this can be for you guys. It's really to complement your current services. It's to make it easier for you guys, really, whilst also making better conversion rates for the job seeker. At the end of the day, we want to get these guys jobs, and we really think it's a system where it can help facilitate what's already in place. We're not trying to revolutionise how it is done. We're just trying to complement what's already there to make the success rates a little bit higher. And we took key bits from that tender to really get into what we think would potentially really help you guys. And the first one, these kids with this platform will be engaging up to 5 hours each week, and we know the high amount of hours that are required for this tender. So we want to try and reduce some of that stress and some of the overheads for you guys. As well as that, whilst we've got the program, there's also a lot of other things that we can do to try and help those potentially really high risk candidates. Such as PPA testing, engaging with us or one of our staff personally on online chat to try and really delve it even further, as well as that using their social media and ours, tapping in together to try and get that engagement to an even more personal level if they were wanted to get to that. But yeah.
So we spoke before of a few case studies which has naturally happened with Year13. We had a young guy, Joe McGrath, this is last year, who was quite disengaged after finishing school, due to the death of his mother. His family was in turmoil, and his brother suffered serious mental health issues after the death of his mum. He then flunked his HSC, and I've got the full case study there, so I can send that over to anyone if they'd like it. And he just felt like an idiot. He didn't have any direction, and he was unemployed. So we had him into our office, and if we had the camera on, I'd show you. We've got a very unique looking office space. It's very, what would you say, very young, very modern. We've got chalk everywhere, and yeah, it's good fun. But we got him in here and kind of just, sat him down and went through the process of asking him, what would he like to be doing if money was no object? What's his ideal plan? What type of person he is? What he likes? And from there, we ended up getting in a sales role into work, and then he started going through looking at his HSC, which he's now studying part-time at ACU. He has ambitions to work in the digital marketing, and we catch up with him every 3 to 4 months, and they just pop on by him here and have a beer with us or just chat with us and make sure that everything is still in line with them and that they're happy. So Joe's an amazing young guy, and this is just something which just came naturally through him reaching out saying, like, can I just come in? I just feel like this brand has something for me. Again, we touched on before with us having a young team here. It's the same with our designer, Sam. He's 17. He emailed us through saying that he's dropping out of school. Obviously, it's a bit of a different story, but he was just dropping out of school because he wasn't a fan of how he was being taught, and he wanted to. He knows he wants to be an art director. So he came in here. We gave him a few hours a week work, and from there we just saw his potential, and he's now studying at one of the design colleges, and he's in here full time with us. So again, it is that influencer role which we've built with young people, and we've been able to kind of continue that. Another case study is Lauren, who she was with us for a while. She was a very rebellious young lady who had a lot of anger and bitterness towards people and authority. She was expelled from a school at the start of Year 12, and she was falling into the wrong crowd at a very young age. So she reached out to us as well. She was from Penrith in Sydney, so the western suburbs. We ended up motivating her and speaking with her and her parents about her completing Year 12, in which she did go back and finish Year 12 and became the Dux of her year, and ended up being in the top 40 for business studies in 2013. She's going through and completing a degree in communications. She went through the University of TAFE Western Sydney, she went into University of Western Sydney. She's just got one of her dream jobs in a recording studio, and again, we maintain that communication with her just through SMS or Facebook, or she emails in every now and then just to catch up. And again, it is that peer-to-peer mentorship which we've been able to build with Year 13. So that's everything in Year 13 in a nutshell. I think how long have we done that in? That's just over half an hour. So I think we can now open the kind of questions up. If anyone has any questions about Year 13, and we'd love to hear them.
Yeah, I think we're really keen to have a discussion on this, because we sort of know exactly what we can bring to the table, but we want to be able to have this engage with what you guys are actually, perhaps tendering for, what your ambitions are, for perhaps us to help you guys out. Because the good thing that we can see from a program like this is it is very adaptable in terms of different goals and ambitions. So we're really keen to have a discussion about it.
Well, thanks very much, Will and Saxon. Look, I'm just going to unmute people, and so if you do have a question, please just feel to.
How do we put on the screen so they can see? Yeah.
If you click on the camera icon on your dashboard to the right, you guys should appear for all of us to see. There we go. See you now.
I think.
So yeah, look, if anyone has a question, please, now's your chance.
Yeah, hi, it's Stephen Nugent here from Optech in Orange. Can you hear me okay, guys?
Yes.
Thanks for the presentation, and congratulations on the work you're doing. It looks fantastic. I just was wondering about your how wide a reach are you? You know, the young people that you're working with. Is it fairly widespread across Australia? And do you have sort of any stats? I imagine you would, stats from website visits, etc.
Yeah, do. Hang on 2 seconds. I'm just going to grab my... But yeah, we're pretty dominant on the East Coast, but we're sort of spreading out. So obviously in Sydney, Melbourne and Brisbane is our strongest, and then we've got some additional areas as well. But in terms of this program, the location really doesn't matter too much. It's more because it is digital and the way that we're actually structuring the mental, you could be placed anywhere.
Yeah, so thanks for that. But something's happened with the audio, and it's a bit, unclear. I don't know whether there's background noise from.
Sorry, I think that might be. Hey, Will and Saxon, do you guys have a microphone attached to your camera by any chance, or is there anything like that?
No.
Yeah, sorry, I'm not too sure what the why we're getting a loop there, but I might just quickly try muting you, Stephen, and see if that helps us for the time before I get them to answer the question again if you can hear it properly. Yeah, okay. I think, Stephen, it might be coming out of your mic and speakers. Sorry about that. Go ahead, Will.
We're still getting a bit of echo. Yeah, what we're saying is we're really going on the East Coast, but that is spreading. As our sort of research increased, we've been able to spread that out a lot more. And the advantage of social media and also being a digital platform, it is adaptable to pretty much anywhere. So we're really excited about it because, especially for rural as well, perhaps some of those resources that aren't necessarily available prior to this, we feel like this is probably very in line with, because it gives that next level of engagement which haven't been available previously. And I think that's where we've sort of really hit our strides, is some of that real engagement where it is difficult to perhaps get to, actually get to an office or get to wherever they need to be. They can actually log in digitally and engage that way.
Can everyone still see our screen?
Yes, I can. Yeah, we can.
Yeah. So if I open this,
yep, that's where you can
this
see
should give you an idea. This gives you an idea of kind of our reach at the moment and our statistics of last month. So this is where we sit, and again, as we were saying, everything we've done to date has been through organic growth, and the more opportunities that we've been presented with Year 13, the more we've been able to offer back to our users. So it has been for us up until now really that chicken and egg situation of really going out and reaching out to businesses and in supporting Year 13. And now that we are starting to get a lot more support and a lot more opportunities, we are able to significantly grow across Australia, and especially in the rural communities.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I think as Saks touched on a little bit earlier, in terms of we have had this program in the pipeline for probably to launch in 12 months, and pretty much just due to a lot of opportunities in the past sort of 3 months especially, and with the transition to work tender coming out along with a few other things, the sort of demand has really generated this. After the National Youth Employment Forum, we've had a couple of people engage with us and perhaps look at this sort of service to complement what they're currently doing, and then it was really good timing because it sort of did lead on to this conversation going a lot further. But yeah, I guess the biggest thing that we wanted to make point of is we're really looking at sort of understanding from you guys and the whole Jobs Australia delegates list is the level of interest, because obviously this comes for us to develop it and get it to the point where we know it can be. It does come with our own sort of resources, and so we're really looking to try and gauge the amount of interest so we can look at doing it properly and sort of getting a community behind it, because we feel like the more people that engage with it and the more people that get behind it, we can really do some amazing things.
Yeah, thanks guys. I just realised I got a question from Paul here. Paul, I've just unmuted you. If you actually want to go ahead and ask it.
Yeah, thanks. What's the employer reaction?
Sorry, Paul.
Okay, look, we can't hear you, Paul. I'm not sure what the issue is, but I've got your question that you typed up, so I'll just read it out. He's asked, what has been the employer reaction and how are they engaging?
So we work with a bunch of group training organisations, as well as the Defence Force and some privates, obviously. And in terms of this level of engagement, it does work slightly differently. But everyone that's sort of come through us has, it's been a unique experience in terms of actually engaging the younger audience and providing those opportunities to sort of a wider audience. So they've been pretty good.
We've got a very different kind of, we don't call it a jobs platform, it's an employment pairing service. So what the user actually does is, they give us their aspirations in terms of the job they're looking for. So one of the biggest issues with kind of young people in current job boards are that they're putting out a number of, they're researching, or they're searching for a bar job or an apprenticeship, and they're applying for 60 jobs and they're not getting any jobs, and they're disheartened as to why they're not getting a job. And they're going, well, I've tried my best, it's not working. And so with our system, they actually enter the type of job that they're looking for. We understand their level of education, so have they finished year 10, year 11, year 12? Have they got their white card? Have they done a pre-apprenticeship? Do they have their driver's license? All the necessary information that an employer instantly looks at, and then once they then search for the job, they get, and I'll show you here, because this thing is fantastic. So give me 2 secs. What they actually get is they get a match, or they get a pairing to the job specific to them and what they search for. I think that'll work. So what they're able to do is then see, so here you go, here's Will's profile. He's looking for an apprenticeship, casual job. He's looking for brick, laying, carpentry, concreting. So this is the type of questions which Will would face once it pops up. So he's looking for a first year apprenticeship, a school apprenticeship, a casual job, or an on-campus job. So if he's still at high school, if he's at university.
We can't actually see the screen at the moment, guys. Are you able to get it in front of that PDF you had open?
It should be.
Just minimise the PDF with the stats. I think it might be behind that.
Okay. And I'll just close all these and then see if it comes back. Can you see that now?
I'll just share. Is it on Google Chrome? Because we haven't got that up yet.
Yeah, we're on Google Chrome.
It's still showing Skype ahead of that. You might need to minimise everything except for Chrome. If we can't get to it, it's okay. We'll forward that that information around afterwards as well.
We didn't realise you guys were actually saying us.
Okay. So you can play around with that jobs platform, but what it does, to answer your question, Paul, is that the user then gets a match to the industry or the job that they're looking for. When they have a high match, they're encouraged to apply for that job. And when they've got a lower match, so something that's 37%, 25% match, what we're actually doing is we're building into our studying section what they need to be doing to be able to be more employable for a construction apprenticeship. So it will come up with stats. Again, this is coming from the Job Outlook study the government's released with, it would say 37% of employers are looking for people who have got a pre-apprenticeship or have got their white card or have got their driver's license. So what the user can actually do is see what is required for them to get a job in that industry. And since we've launched this, we've only had this job board live now for just nearly 2 months. We've got about 700 jobs on there. We've had about 3,500 registrations, and so what we're doing for the employer is really building higher quality candidates, and then they're actually able to then, we're servicing both the youth unemployment, so our users can then make an action as to how they can improve their chances of being employed, and the employer is then getting a higher quality candidate on their end.
Thanks, guys. Paul Divini had another question. What mobile platforms does the site work on? And I'm going to assume all. So it will work on your mobile, on iPad, on any tablet and laptop, and any kind of what do you call it? Hand smart device like that. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, it's fully responsive. So it works, again, across all platforms, all sites, all what are these things called?
It's fully functional on any system.
Excellent, great. All right. At this point, are there any other questions? If you do have one, we will try and unmute you, but just let me know by raising a virtual hand or at least typing one in, and we can get to it. With will we be able to make the information from the slideshow and the other materials you've shown available to the people who have joined us today as well, Will and Saxon?
Yeah, definitely. We'll send over that slide deck which we created, and then kind of our strategy and our plan moving forward.
Okay, great. Well, with that said, are there any more questions or anything else? Anyone else would like to ask? Sorry. Stephen, go ahead.
Stephen Nugent again. Sorry, I've just unmuted myself, and hopefully won't cause too many problems. The 5 hours per week, I think you mentioned a figure of 5 hours per week of engagement. What would that, perhaps consist of in terms of the Job Connect Year 13 Connect service that you're talking about, guys? Would that be self-paced stuff? And I suppose it would depend a bit on the individual, but have you got sort of specific activities or content in mind?
It would be largely self-paced, but it's also dependent on how the user is engaged with the content and the way that they're sort of going throughout the system. Because we can track if the user is engaging with the tasks that we're trying to get them to complete, they basically go off into different campaigns. So if the user is highly engaged, they'll go through the system and get different content and information opportunities. And then, so collectively, as you go throughout the week, because each day we're trying to get them to actually complete different tasks, all up it will get to up to 5 hours of engagement.
Trish, I just unmuted you. I see you had a question as well. Did you want to ask that? Hello, Trish.
Sorry, I'm not sure whether you can...
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, sorry. I'm not sure whether you said this at the start of the presentation. In terms of cost for young persons, if we are using transition, how much does it cost per program per young person?
Sorry, did you guys get that? Sorry. Yeah, the question was, does it cost the young person, and how much does it cost per person per program?
No, it costs our users more than any element of Year 13. That's the young person, so everything that on site is free to engage with. It would be
this program will be charged to the employment services, in which basically it's really dependent on the volume. So we know what it's going to cost us to get the program off the ground. So it depends on the amount of people that engage. We're sort of in the midst of talking to government and really trying to get funding for this. So that also plays a big part. So what we're sort of putting out there is trying to get MOUs in place with people such as yourselves to at least get this to the next level and show that this is a serious solution to a lot of the government issues that they're putting out there. Everything that we've heard and everyone that we've talked to has been this issue of communicating and effectively communicating with young people to try and get them to that next stage. And it's something that when we first started this, we can confidently say we didn't think we would be doing this, but it has just been how our users have engaged, and they've really pushed us to this aspect of Year 13. And we couldn't be more excited because we think it is a genuine solution to a lot of the issues that people are putting out there. And we don't have the experience, the infrastructure to be doing what you guys are doing, but we think we can help. And so that's why if everyone's involved, it can be extremely cheap. And we still need to go through the exact costings, but that's why I want people to engage with us and let us know what you guys are thinking, how many people would go through it, because then we can come back with the proper costings.
I guess the biggest thing which we can take from this would be if a platform like Year13 would be a benefit to the transition to work tender, if it would work for us, because again, we'll touch on it, we do need to put a significant amount of development into being able to have the platform there and have it working. And then again, we are going through the motions with various government bodies in terms of funding, because we have been online now for 3 years. We have proven ourselves. We are engaging with youth in a new age way. So as much feedback which we can get from you guys and interest is probably what is going to be fundamental to the success of this. Because if it's not saying, which, and you guys are the ones with the experience, if it's not saying, then we'd love to hear it. But if it is something, all advice on how we can build this and actually effectively kind of solve this social problem in this, the unemployment rate at the moment, nearly 14%, as much as we can. Is it high now? Is it? There we go. Whatever we can do collectively together is what we're ultimately trying to achieve.
Another comment or question from Paul was whether you guys would be available for an offline meeting, and I'm going to assume the answer to that is yes. So we will send around your details, obviously, so anyone who's tuned in today can get in touch with you, directly as well.
That's not just like Paul. That's to anyone who's here today. If anyone has any questions about the conversation, just please email either myself or Will, or give us a call. Again, this is as much as a learning curve for us as it is for everyone to be able to kind of find a solution for what is a huge problem. And so whatever we can do, any discussions we have, we would openly welcome and love to be able to have.
Okay, well, does anyone else have any more questions? We're getting close to the hour mark, so there is still time if anyone does want to ask anything. Otherwise, we probably will wrap it up. I'm going to take the silence as probably an indication that there aren't. So with that said, I'd really like to thank Will and Saxon for taking the time out of the day to talk to us about their platform. As I said earlier, we will email your details around along with materials from today. A recording will be available for you as well, and please do get in touch with Will and Saxon when you can. And yeah, Will, Saxon, thank you very much. I'll be in touch with you guys again soon as well.
Thanks, I really appreciate it. Again, really thank you for everyone making the time out to hear us today, and the guys at Jobs Australia for being able to streamline this for us. It was last week that we met with them, and now we're doing this, so it's it is really exciting. We appreciate all the support.
That's great. Well, we love your work. So thanks very much, and to everyone who joined us today, thank you. Expect an email from me pretty soon. But otherwise, have a great afternoon, and see you later.
Yep.